Hello?
Hello, thank you for coming. How many of you recognize this piece of paper? Okay, you should all recognize it. You should all recognize it because it comes every single year with your water bill. Have you read it, or does it just get tossed out in the recycling every year? Well, this report contains a lot of very crucial information, and I'm here to share this information with all of you. Specifically, I want to share the alarming message this report holds, that our drinking water in Fayette County has been in violation of EPA standards in 2 categories for many years. I completely understand why most of you ignored this long, boring report with lots of big words and tiny font. I am an environmental engineering student focusing specifically in water, so this is actually very fascinating to me. Seeing data that I have calculated and studied in my courses out in the wild is what I live for. So with my background knowledge in the subject and extensive research into this report, I would like to inform all of you about the problems with our drinking water in Fayette County. Let me begin with a little bit of background of where our water comes from and how it's treated. I will try to make this as interesting as possible for all the non-engineers present. So where does water come from? Your fridge? A sink? Maybe a hose? Have you really thought about it? Where does it truly start? Well, water in our county comes from Lake Kedron, Lake Peachtree, Lake Horton, Lake McIntosh, Starr's Mill Pond, and the Flint River. Water can come from rivers, lakes, or underground in aquifers. When we exceed our needs for water, we purchase water from the City of Atlanta or the Clayton County Water Authority as well. We also get water in certain areas underground from aquifers, and this is done by drilling wells. And this water is a lot cleaner and easier to treat, but there's not as much of it as available. So right now I'll go over a basic overview of what drinking water treatment is. Now our water treatment facility is located at 3500 TDK Boulevard in Peachtree City, and the plant has a capacity to produce 13.5 million gallons per day. Water comes from a source, the ones that I just explained, and it enters the treatment facility. We have certain standards for treatment in order to meet qualifications set by the EPA following the Clean Water Act of 1972. Fayette County follows a pretty basic chemical treatment process for drinking water. Alum and lime are added to water to cause the finely divided particles to clump together so that the mud and their particles will settle to the bottom of the settling tanks by gravity. The coagulants are added here, and they're flocculated here so that they can settle here. So all of the mud will end up down there. And clean filtered water will then travel through these filters so that only particles smaller than the hole size in these filters will be able to pass through. This removes a lot of the things that we can't see from the water, like pathogens and other small but deadly creatures. Water is then further disinfected by chlorine, and fluoride is also added to our water so that we don't look like the British. Finally, a corrosion chemical is added, which is lime phosphate, to reduce water hardness. Water is then pumped into a storage tank and into your home. So that's where our water comes from. So now that we're all experts in drinking water treatment, let's move on to the problems Fayette County has been having with this system for the past few years. Water is treated to remove a variety of contaminants that the EPA has deemed are harmful to our health. These include microbial contaminants, inorganic contaminants, pesticides, organic contaminants, and radioactive contaminants. Certain levels of contaminants are permitted in water since no water will be completely free of everything. MCLs, which are maximum contaminant levels, are deemed the highest level of something that's allowed in water before it poses any adverse health risks. Fayette County is in violation of 2 MCL categories. The total amount of trihalomethanes and total organic carbon are both too high. Now I know those are big words, so I'll try and break them down for you. Trihalomethanes are a byproduct of drinking water chlorination, which happens here. I'll explain further what a drinking water byproduct is in a moment. And total organic carbon is like things like natural decaying matter in water. This is always present, but we don't want a large amount of it in there. So what is the county doing about this? This report has a section explaining the violations and exceedances. They firstly reassure you that the exceedances do not pose a threat to the quality of water supplied or a threat to human health. They explain that while total organic carbon has no health effects, it does provide a medium for disinfection byproducts to form. DPB's disinfection byproducts are worrisome. To make the chemistry very simple, I'll use an example of something we know, salt. Combining sodium and chloride makes salt, something we use every day. But if sodium, chloride, and water are combined in the wrong proportions, we can have a very awful side effect. Sodium and water combine to make hydrogen gas and heat, which produces an explosion. So DPB is kind of like that unwanted explosion that might happen when you combine chemicals. Small consumptions of DPBs aren't an issue, but if these contaminants are consumed in excess over many years, then you may experience problems with your liver, kidneys, or central nervous system. And it puts you at an increased risk of getting cancer. So take the chlorine away then. Well, if we do this, we risk becoming infected by disease-causing organisms and pathogens. So this is really the lesser of two evils. The report ends with the statement, you should not be alarmed and do not seek alternative water supplies. Water treatment methods are being implemented to increase the removal of TOCs, total organic carbon, in the treatment plants, which will reduce the levels of the disinfection byproducts. The last page of the report includes a note from the director's desk with a promise of improving the water treatment technology to effectively target all possible contaminants in the water. He then diverts your attention away from the issue by listing the plant's accomplishments for the years. If you are completely terrified to drink the water after this, you really shouldn't be. But I suggest you use an at-home filtration system like a Brita filter if you feel more comfortable. But there is no immediate risk to your health from drinking water out of the sink. To be completely honest, none of this information should have been used to anyone. We are all mailed a copy of this report every single year. It's required by law that it's sent out, actually. I know that not everyone is as fascinated as I am by water, but water is a huge part of who we are, literally. I urge you all to become more active members in our community and keep up to date with what's going on at our treatment plant. All this information is available online, along with many more resources. Pick up the phone and give them a call if you have questions or are confused about anything. It's their job to answer, and they will be very happy to help you. I hope this has informed you a little bit more about what's going on in our community and that you will now keep more up to date with our drinking water. Thank you.